From the Great Basin to the Rockies to the four corners of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico, this is KMMU Main Street Media Utah coming to you live. You can find us on Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook, and our website, kmmu.org. Please join our hosts, Jared and Holly, for Political Head Trauma, where if Head Trauma had a podcast, it would be just like this. Take it away, Jared and Holly.
Hi, everybody. That's our first time with an intro, and I'd like to thank you, Duane, for helping us out. We are wishing you a wonderful Friday night, and tonight I will be sharing the stage tonight with my very good friend Duane, who's part of KMMU, and Jared will be coming in to join us a little bit later. He got called out to work, so welcome to Political Head Trauma. If Head Trauma had a podcast, it would sound something like this, and it's a beautiful Friday. It's a crazy week in America. Liberation Day was a couple of days ago, as Trump liked to say. And we have a ton to talk about. And I'm so excited, Duane. Give the audience here who has seen you before. You've been our trusty producer and call guy and everything else. And we have just not been able to do this without you. So please tell people about yourself a little bit.
Well, usually I just stay behind the scenes, but and we're gonna have to practice those intros a little bit. But here I am. Call me the Bo Snerdley of Utah. Okay. You remember him? That was Rush Limbaugh's producer.
Yeah. What did he used to call Mr. Producer?
Mr. Producer. Yep.
That's all I knew him as. I didn't realize he had a first and last name. So
well, cool. Actually, Bo Snerdley is not his real name. He had a different name, so he was like me behind the scenes and didn't. We don't really care about any kudos or any of that stuff. We're just here to help out the team.
And well, I have to say, working with you in the past, you've proved that to be true on many occasions. Of just trying to help out hosts and trying to make sure that we get good information out there and teaching and helping. You're just a really, really good person.
Well, I just feel weird filling in for Jared because those are big shoes to fill.
I know. He's fun. Well, I hope
he's coming back later. Is that right?
He's going to try to be on and join us tonight. I'm actually not in studio, as you can see. I'm at home without the space wall behind me because we're doing some renovating on my office space. My husband is a gem who's decided to make more space for me. But our guest that was going to join us was unable to at the last minute. And thank you Jared got called out. And normally we would just do the show, Jared and I. But he's been called out to work. And so I am so grateful for Duane filling in. And there's a lot that we can talk about. Duane is involved in local politics on the tech side. He's worked in many campaigns throughout election season and has helped the state party. He's helped many different campaigns. I think you've even helped all kinds of candidates, right? Not just Republicans, or do you just work with Republicans?
Well, I work with anybody who needs help. Okay,
right.
But we're in Utah. Most of these candidates are Republicans. Okay, and
sure.
So I've worked with governor candidates. I've worked with state Senate candidates. I've worked with representatives. I've worked with a bunch of state senators and state reps and school boards and just behind the scenes.
Sorry, I'm going to adjust my seat here. So, and you're tech savvy beyond. Like, I don't know how you do it. I feel like at my age, it's hard for me to learn new stuff. And Jared is usually our tech guy. And so someone like you is a whole different ballgame. You know everything about the tech world.
No, people say, gee, Duane, you must be an expert. And there is no such thing because there's just too much to know. I mean, and I've got a computer science degree and I've worked for, like Hughes Aircraft when Howard Hughes was still alive. And STC, Unisys, Computer Sciences Corporation. I worked for a bunch of banks, and my background is strictly tech. And what I learned in school has nothing to do with what I do today because the technology just moves, you know.
Oh,
And
it's so fast.
I own a hosting company. I own this media company. I own a a marketing company, and it's all tech. It's all tech.
Well, I appreciate you. And
Somehow we got your camera working tonight. I mean, hey.
I know I feel like a win because you couldn't be here to help me. I had to figure it out on my own, which if I can't figure it out, I usually go to my kids to be like, hey, help me out here. And
Yeah.
it's you know, I'm the generation that wasn't, I mean, we were raised without tech, and then we got to see it evolve and become what it is today. And we taught our kids, we taught our parents, you know, basic day-to-day use with social media and the iPhone and all of that. But we're kind of like the in-betweens, and then we're getting to an age now where our kids have to help us. And I mean, that's kind of how it goes anyway. But
Well,
it's something I'm in need of.
I think my dad was the last person on the planet who did not have an email address. Okay. And I mean, my mom had one, but not him. But that was, you know, my mom died right after just before 9/11. She died, and so that was 2000, 2001. I forget. Yeah.
2001
Yeah.
was 9/11.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, you can, hey, answer me this, riddle me this. Does it ever get easier to grieve a parent? I know I lost mine in 2018, and the years fly by, but man, it feels like yesterday at the
I
same
know,
time.
and when somebody calls me Mr. Benson, I look around for my dad and I go, "He's not here. Dang it!" Yeah. So, yeah. Those
Well,
were the days, and you know, it's like, phew. And now my son's 40. So, actually,
wow.
he in June will be 42. So, way older than you.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
wish. Well, I appreciate that. That's so off, but I appreciate that. 42. That's, I have a brother that's just under that, but he's my baby brother, big time baby by 10 years almost. Well, 9 years. So I want to talk to you because you could give some insight, and for somebody that you understand what I do as a party chair.
Yes,
And few people I think really do, unless they're either work with a party chair closely or they're part of a leadership team. And so the average public or average Republican who votes and gets engaged, I don't think they really understand the actual job of a party chair, which I think people sometimes think that we are going and arguing, and we have, I mean, I'm normally a very conservative person, how I vote privately and all of that. I'm very, very conservative. However, I also recognize that my fellow voters and the people that elect me don't always vote the way I do or view things the way I do, and they're far more moderate. Some are considered what you would call, you know, the old school Republicans that were very uh, establishment. And then those people are called rhinos, or there's so many different venues or levels for what a Republican is, right? It's not, Republican means exactly the same thing. It just doesn't.
well, and there's different cultures all over. I'm from California. I moved here 10 years ago, and well, when I moved here, I kind of died and went to heaven because I just love it here in Utah.
Well, you're
I
a ski bunny, right?
Well, yeah, but you know, California is a beautiful, beautiful place, except for all the people. And I mean, it just kept getting worse and worse. And I thought, oh, well, I used to come and go from Utah a lot, okay, because well, I skied snowboard in Alta when it was $12. So,
Oh, geez.
and even then we say, who would pay that to go ski for a day? So we'd drive up from LA, sleep in our cars, get our discount tickets from Lee's, from Smith's, and but I always liked it here. But when I moved here, it was culture shock. Okay,
I bet. Yeah, I
just
bet.
because the people here are just so nice. The whole LDS, and I know all my neighbors, I know their kids. In LA, all I would see, I'd pull in the driveway and the garage door would go up and the car would go in and the garage door would go down. I never knew anybody there. I had family and I had friends, but I mean, it was culture shock. And the people here, it's interesting because my family is originally from Minnesota. Okay. And we call the people there Minnesota nice. Okay. It's
Yeah.
very similar here in Utah. People are nice. They do not want any conflict whatsoever, and but then they start arguing over differences about conservative versus GOP versus Rhino versus, and it's pretty wild. In California, you knew, I mean, it was overt. You knew who the Democrats were and who the Republicans were, and here it's a little more covert because the people are so nice. That's the only way I can put it. It's
It's true.
cultural. It's cultural.
And I think the
And
church
then,
has a lot to do with that. And the culture of here is it's more conservative. We only had 2 million people, not even 20 years ago. In 2002, I think our population was just barely hitting, when we had the Olympics, I think we had just hit 2 million. Now we're over 3 million, which to us is a lot. But you
yes,
go to
yes.
counties in Texas and they've got 20 million.
Well, that was like LA. LA had
Yeah.
LA County. LA County was 12 million people, you know. And what happened is it just got worse and worse. And I mean, now there's 30,000 homeless people, and I think of that and I go, that's more than a couple of big cities here in Utah.
That I can't even fathom. We've seen homelessness go up here in Utah also, which
Yes,
is
yes. Well,
really,
it's endemic, and it frustrates me because the homeless situation is. I have a son with schizophrenia, and the people who are homeless are one of two things: they're on drugs, or they have mental illness, and those are two sides of the same coin. The people on drugs need to be off drugs, and the people who have mental illness need to be on drugs.
yeah.
And and it's a really, really difficult situation to deal with. I've been dealing with it for 20 years, because of my son, and it's it's really bad in LA.
Does he live with you?
No, he lives in California. He lives in he
Oh,
lives in he lives in a little town called Ventura.
wow. I've heard of Ventura actually.
It's a little beach town. That's where he lives. So actually he lives he right now he's in a halfway house in Camarillo. He's got
And
a he's being
doing
treated.
okay.
He's being treated. Yeah.
So a lot of the folks that have mental illness and are struggling with stuff like that, and then homelessness on top of that, some of them have to choose between eating or taking their medicine, or putting a roof over their head or taking their medicine. And a lot of people with mental illness don't want to take medicine. They don't
No,
like the way it makes them feel, and it's really difficult.
the
Um,
meds are bad. I mean, it's it's good news, bad news. Okay, it's a cost benefit situation. Medication he takes, he's a musician. He plays 8 musical instruments. Okay, he
wow.
plays the drums, keyboards, uh, uh, bass, lead guitar, trumpet, trombone. His mom bought him a mandolin. He picked it up and started playing it. And I said, "Don't you have to take some lessons for that?" He says, "Oh, maybe I'll take some lessons." I mean, you just picked up a mandolin and started playing it.
I don't even know what
And
a mandolin is.
it's kind of a country sort of it's a cross between. It's tuned like a violin, and it looks like a banjo. Okay, it looks like a short
Okay.
banjo. Okay,
Do you play it like a violin or like a
no, you
banjo?
play it like a banjo. You strum it and pick it.
Oh,
But
go out.
but the the medication makes it so he can't play his instruments. It numbs him.
See,
Okay, and,
that's
and it's kind of
that's
sad, but without the medication, he's delusional. He hears voices. He has auditory hallucinations. He has visual hallucinations. And when you talk about delusion, I know exactly what that means. It's a feature,
yeah,
and I will say, because he's got a connection to the universe that I just don't have because of
yeah.
his musical skills.
Well,
But
he sees through what a lot of us kind of take for granted, that he's got a different take. That's never easy. It just breaks my heart because how do you help them and not crush them and medicate them to where they're zombies, or it stops them from being themselves, like a
well,
musician.
and then that can be a good thing. I mean, when he's delusional, when he's hearing voices, yeah, and I don't buy into his delusions, but I just kind of go along with it. And when he says, "Well, there's somebody outside, they're trying to break in, they're coming in to kill me," I go, "It must be horrible to think that someone's coming in to kill you." I'm not agreeing with him, but I'm
That's good
landed
to
on the
know.
same runway. But yeah, it's
Well, you're acknowledging that he's what he sees is real to him.
to him, you cannot talk someone out of a delusion. You can't do it. I mean, when he thinks the space aliens are out there trying to break in and come in and put him on a spacecraft and haul him off, he truly believes it. And you know, you're not going to talk him out of it. So you're just going to go along with it. It's an interesting thing, mental illness. And I don't. I read a book one time by a guy named David Horobin. It was called The Madness of Adam and Eve. And his theory, it's just a theory, is that mental illness has been selected for genetically because it's brought us language, it's brought us music, it's brought us just all kinds of things. And
Well,
because these are people who think outside the box,
like
way out.
Alice in Wonderland, right? Like
Yeah,
the creator of that. I mean, that came from somebody's delusions, either through a drug-induced state or not. But it inspired the world, and his artistic vision came out.
well,
But
that's
it's
yeah. The
very
music
real.
that he plays is beautiful. He's like a one-man band, and it's just as well that he's a one-man band because the other band members can't handle him.
I bet there's a lot of unknowns, right?
Yeah, yeah.
With someone like that. So I mean, I hate to go from mental illness to party affiliation
Let's
or
go. Well, yeah.
judgment, but
There's some mental illness going on there too, Holly.
that's very fair. So I mean, that's very fair. So if you guys
Let's
are
go back to
joining us,
politics. You've heard enough about me, and I was on the board of directors of the National Alliance on Mental Illness in LA. Okay, and we did what we could for people, and the politicians don't understand it, so they have no idea of how to fix it.
it's true.
They're clueless. They're clueless.
Well, and we
So
have to be honest, and I don't know if it's like this in other states, but in Utah, mental illness has been kept like a secret. You didn't talk about it. You didn't share your family unit. You kept it in there, but you didn't share it. And we are a
well,
community of wards, and the church has got a huge influence here, and everybody knows everybody in their business. And I know for people, I'm not LDS, but I grew up here since birth. But I know friends of mine who came from California who are, and they've said this is a culture shock because
yeah.
when I was go to church in California, I had to travel, 30, 45 minutes to get to my church. And people in our ward lived 30, 40 minutes away. They didn't know my business. And you're here, you guys are all so clumped together. Everybody knows each other's business. And so you didn't talk about your mentally ill child or even yourself. And there was a time, I don't know if it's still the same, but Utah was the number one prescribed Prozac state. And it was all a secret. And I think over the last 20 years, people have stopped treating it with shame because you wouldn't hide cancer. You wouldn't
Well, there's a
hide
yeah, no, there's
injury
a big
from
stigma.
people.
There's a big stigma attached to it, and that's one of the things that we try to work on is eliminating the stigma for mental illness. I mean, it's like, yeah, well, eh, and you know, it's like you said, Elizabeth Wurtzel wrote a book called Prozac Nation. There are millions of doses of Prozac and all of these antidepressants given out every day in the United States. I
Oh
I
yeah.
don't I don't think it's such a good idea myself because and even the names, they call them SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Even the name of the drug, you go, what's it doing?
Yeah. And yet I know people that would probably not be here without it.
That's
So
correct.
there's a need for it. And
It's
I,
very, very helpful up to a point. Up to a point.
yeah. Well, and David Weiss says the mind is a fragile thing and at a point unfixable. The brain, I mean, I wish we knew. I mean, having my father, who I lost to glioblastoma, and, the brain, just the things in him that changed that kind of gave us red flags about it are so minute, just a tiny change in the brain, even opening the brain up for surgery like doing a biopsy can change everything about your life just
Oh
by
yeah.
opening it up. So it's so sensitive to, and it is. And when you get something like that we don't know if it's fixable, and mental illness, you just kind of have to deal with it. But to get back to our party and politics, you know, some people accuse me of being crazy just for even doing the job I do. Who would want to be so meshed into politics? Personally, I love it. I feel like it gives me an opportunity to have a seat at the table regarding how government is done, and at the most local level, to get my voice heard. And I think it's so important. I know plenty of people that have zero interest in politics, but they still vote. They try to educate themselves and they try to learn about candidates. But man, once I became a state delegate, I was hooked, because getting in front of these folks and asking the hard questions, seeing their response, I thought it made me feel like I had a seat at the table. And I think the problem nowadays is that we've gone so tribal with it.
Yes.
I mean, since Obama, I feel like it was really since Obama, because I remember really liking a lot of things about Clinton. And I remember, and I was young, he was the first president I could vote for. And some of the things like laying off 300,000 federal employees, that got a lot of people heated. Like now, people are heated, but it's just the other side is heated because it was a lot of military bases and things like that. But he had balanced the budget, and that was unheard of. And that took a lot of work with Republicans and Democrats, Republican
It was a
Senate
combined effort. It
and
was
House, right?
it was Bill Clinton and who was the speaker at
Newt,
the time? Newt
Newt
Gingrich.
Gingrich,
They had to work together to get that done.
right? And I think it's highly important. And then once we got to, I mean, we kind of united under Bush with 9/11, and then it kind of went a little bit at the end. It kind of was back, with the 2008 crisis and Obama getting in. I felt like people got a lot more tribal after Obama. And of course, the election in 2016, highly passionate, and watching Trump plow through all of our conservative. I mean, I wasn't on the Trump train out of the gate. I was a Ted Cruz person. And my husband was totally Trump. My dad was totally Trump. They wanted somebody to go in there and make some noise and to mess the system, a broken system, which I came along. I voted for him in 2016. And then I just held my breath and hoped. And I was so pleasantly surprised at what I saw and the policies coming out What really got me, though, was that a Republican Senate, he had the House and the Senate, and they were not helping. They were not on his side, and they were stopping him
No,
at every turn.
they saw him as a disruptor. I mean, he was a wrecking ball. Okay.
Yeah.
And his first term, he didn't know how bad it was, how things were. He had no idea. He wasn't from DC. He's from New York. He didn't know how DC operated, And I wrote DC off a long time ago because, the founding fathers, when they created this republic, one of their thoughts was, let's make it so these guys can't do anything. There's so many checks and balances that it really, they're not supposed to do anything. And then when I see the legislature here generate over 500 bills, I'm going, this is not what you people are supposed to be doing. You're just supposed to be protecting us, okay?
Yeah.
And they don't know how to do that. They think it's a big thing that they generated 542 bills, 550 some odd bills. I'm going, my law would be, in order to generate a bill, you have to take two others off. And every bill that you generate shouldn't be longer than 2 pages.
Amen. And what we've gotten so used to in the habit of is being governed. And that was, founding fathers were absolutely like, no, you guys are in trouble. And independence is hard. I say this every week. Independence is so difficult, and it's messy. And there's going to be, situations that things are going to fall through the cracks. And that's why you have to vote freedom first.
Yes.
I believe that freedom should always be the first thing. So 500 bills, I don't celebrate that.
No.
There's stuff that needs to be covered. But what I hear is, okay, so there's 500 new regulations or rules that are going to either tax me, prohibit me, or take from me something. But it might help this little group over here. Yeah. Or it might enhance this group over here. I do see a need for it, of course, but I think we've gotten a little heavy-handed, and to applaud that many bills, I don't do that.
No, thank you.
So,
well, I'm really a libertarian, okay, which means leave me alone, okay?
Yeah.
Don't leave me alone and let other people do whatever they want, as long as it doesn't harm someone, self or others, okay? Hey, we have somebody in our studio here. I wonder if it's Jared. Someone's aboard. Let's see.
Well,
hello. Do you recognize that logo? Is that Jared?
No.
Okay. It might be that Gunnar came by, possibly. Did you send him a link?
I did early on, but I never heard back from him, so I don't know if that would be him.
Well, I'm just going to take control, and if it's somebody, they'll come back and talk.
Right now in our state, we've just gotten through session, and now we're going into county conventions, county Lincoln Days, which is a GOP's version of fundraisers, where they invite all the political electeds to come, and they invite voters to come out and enjoy a dinner, and they do a fundraiser. Our county did not have one this year. We don't do them in the even years. We usually do them in the off years. I just don't get a lot of attendance to come out, and every single county, it's hard to compete. We plan our convention, which our convention is the very last opportunity before state convention. So on May 15th, anyone is welcome to attend. It'll start at 6 p.m. with our reception, and we ask you to come out, and official start time will be 7. But we invite all the elected representatives to come out and address the public, and they'll be given speeches. And we're having it at Twilla High School's gymnasium. So
this is your county GOP
convention. So we've sent out a save the date to our county and state and central committee delegates, But just letting all of you know that you are welcome to go to your conventions, even if you can't vote in them. But the voting that is happening is we vote for leadership. And this is more of called an organizing convention, where we vote on party leadership. And state convention is May 17th, which is 2 days after ours on Saturday. And so we have reached out to, our state delegates to save the date. It's going to be at Utah Valley University, UVU. And if you are a state delegate, make sure you've been in touch with your precinct chair and let them know that you're going. And if you have questions, follow the state party on Facebook or reach out to, if you have any questions, Stafford, the state secretary. But that election, along with my own, is coming up. And so far, I do plan on running again. I like to see if there's anyone else interested. I've been serving a long time, so I'm always open to new leadership and new ideas and all of that, of course. But I do believe that this next 2 years is really important to bring our party together. I've seen it fracture so badly with the last election cycle.
I want to talk to you about that, about all of this contention that's running back and forth, but I got to go take care of a dog, so I'll be right back. Okay. Now,
okay.
The dog's barking. Can you hear the dog? Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. So, what I'm going to get into?
Tell them all about how this works, Holly, because people need to know.
Okay. Well, now if you are a delegate, then you probably know this, but the state party, the Utah State Republican Party, is made up of, we've got a chair, a vice chair, secretary, treasurer. We've got a number of tech people. They're not always elected, and I'm probably leaving someone out, and I'm so sorry. But the state party chair's job is to run our meetings, represent the party and the voters, also to work with electeds so that they have a seat at the table regarding politics. So this is something that I do. I work very closely with our electeds locally. I'm a member of the SCC as the county chair, as well as our vice chair, Alan Layton. He's also a member. And then we have elected positions for the state central committee, which is the governing body of the party. So the state central committee is also an elected position, and Tooele County just got our third seat. So we will have three opportunities for someone who wants to be on the governing body. The state party chair's job is merely to facilitate the meeting of the state governing committee, the state central committee, and not to have they don't argue or debate their own views. Their job is to facilitate the meeting and listen to the different issues coming onto the floor, different resolutions, if they want to make a bylaw change that governs our body. That is literally what the SCC does. They are the governing body of the party. And I've seen, after this last year, we've had a lot of fractures happening throughout the party. The governor's race was highly contentious. The school board race, highly contentious. The attorney general's race was contentious, and that was a hard one for me to understand because we had excellent candidates, all of which, I've known Derek Brown for years personally, and when he was party chair, I thought he was an excellent party chair, especially during COVID. Yikes, to do a remote convention, first time ever. He did great. Our own Tooele County commissioner at the time, Sean Milne, was on the convention team and had a full convention ready to plan. I think he was convention chair back then. And almost overnight, they had to switch it over and do it remotely because of COVID and the law, things like that. And, you know, Derek is a great, great guy. So was
that was a very strange race. It was a strange race. And I know both Frank Mylar and Trent Christensen. Okay.
Yes, me too. They're fantastic people.
Frank is just a awesome attorney. He does all kinds of pro bono. He helps people out right and left. Okay.
Well, here's my favorite thing. He doesn't just help people. See, for me, law enforcement, I'm from a blue family. Like, we bleed blue. I have the police flag up right now. My father, 40 years in law enforcement. My brother, 10 years in law enforcement. Frank Mylar is famous for representing law enforcement and civil liberty cases where, you know, people who may not otherwise be able to afford an attorney can go to Frank and he helps them out. And I love that about him. I just thought him and Trent, they were such great people. And I got to know them as a party chair and as a delegate. But that race was contentious and it was really weird because it wasn't like
weird. It was very strange.
Any of them were coming out and making a scene, or it was like the voters were making it contentious, if that makes sense.
There was a lot of static electricity in the air. We'll put it that way.
Whereas the governor's race was publicly contentious.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't like the people were making the scene. Each candidate was getting very loud on their opinions. And then people would go back to their groups and fight about it. And it's really difficult because I was just telling them that a party chair's job is to work with electeds, to be the voice of the Republican voter, and not just one voter, but the whole entire base, if possible, where possible. And they have to be able to have a working relationship with electeds. And vice versa. You need electeds, need the party chairs to work with them if they want to get anything done and they want support. That is something that I'm very proud of. The work that I've done with our electeds here locally, I've got them all available they answer my calls. We talk about, you know, stuff that I find people are worried about when things are coming up. COVID was another great example. We had a brand new government. We had just left a 3-person commission and went to a 5-person council part-time. And during COVID, the mask issue came up. And I had talked to the sheriff, I had talked to the council, and also talking to voters. And voters showed up in masses there to say, you were not mandating masks. And the sheriff was there to say, our deputies aren't going to be citing people for masks. Don't go into businesses that don't want it, you know, and don't push it on businesses. They have their right. But as far as the sheriff's office, deputies will not be citing you if you're in a park, or like in California, you're the only one in the ocean on a board and you're getting arrested because you didn't have a mask on. We weren't going to play that game here. And the people showed up, and our electeds showed up, and they did the will of the people. Again, that's not every person. We had people that were for masks too.
Well, the whole COVID thing was very, very strange. Okay. It was so weird. And if you went into Summit County, for instance, you had to wear a mask. There was a big sign that
Salt Lake City too.
A big sign that said, you've got to wear a mask in this town. And I'm going, really? And, you know, I started out life working in the medical field. I was an EMT, and then I worked in surgery, and we wore a mask every day. And I mean, there's just so much contention over it. And I'm going, those masks don't really do anything for a virus. If you're wearing a respirator, you can block viruses. But I mean, we wore a mask in surgery because we were trying to keep blood, sweat, and hair out of wounds. Right. It was to protect the patient from getting.
You also had gloves up here.
We had gloves.
Scrubbing for minutes.
Yeah.
You can't touch the mask.
Well, once you're scrubbed and you're sterile, you had somebody else put the mask on you. You put the mask on first, you scrub, but I mean, it's not for stopping a virus. It's not what it's for. It's to keep spit and hair and sweat out of the wound. That's what it's
Right.
for. And it's
In a
not.
sterile environment.
I mean, it's people would argue with me about that, and I go, I wore a mask all day, every day for 3 years. I know what it does, but people, this is part of the contention. They're going, oh, you're going to kill grandma, and I'm going, well, you have a mask on, aren't? Isn't that protecting you? Why do I need to wear a mask if you got one on?
Well,
You've
then we
been
get into
vaccinated. Well, what do you care what I do?
yeah, then we get into that, the vaccination, and then it just talk about people just for me it was about common sense, and I
Yes,
just
it was very strange.
feel like common sense to me.
It was very, very strange. Oh, you're vaccinated? Well, then you don't need to worry about me, do you?
No,
You've got a
I
vaccination.
you're vaccinated and you're sick. Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
The government said that wouldn't happen, and I love how much you trust the government now
We can't
because
talk about this on YouTube. I'm sorry. We're broadcasting to YouTube. We can't use that COVID word.
right. Well, and there we go. That was
But
that was 4 years of absolute insanity.
it became political, okay? And my dad used to have this rule. It's we don't talk about religion or politics at the dinner table, which left us, with baseball and the weather. But guess what? Now baseball and the weather are political.
Everything is. Yeah.
Everything has become political, and it's very tribal. And I just wish I could get everybody to work together because I'm running for a. There's Mr. Jared.
Your
I thought that was
PhD?
him.
What's
Oh,
up?
I should have put it together. Political head trauma.
Well, I put that on there so I could tell what was going on. But
No,
Who's who?
PhD.
yeah, well, I put that on him because I didn't.
Oh, okay.
It had my name on it before. Oh, you
Oh
can't see
yeah.
these. You can't see these little side things, can you, Holly?
No,
Okay. Yeah.
no. But
Holly's a
hi,
guest.
Jared. Welcome to the show where if head trauma had a podcast.
It would be just like this.
Yeah, it'd sound just like this. How's it going, guys?
It's going
Good.
good.
Can you share this show to our Facebook page?
Yeah, I'll do all the sharing right now.
Excellent.
It'll be some late sharing, but I will do all the sharing. So, what have we been talking about? Catch me up.
We are
Oh, we're
currently talking about
contention among the ranks and how the system is working, and Holly was saying you're the chairman of the GOP in Tooele County, right?
yeah.
I'm
And we
running.
talked about the division amongst Republicans
Yeah,
within the
division.
party after last year's race, and always, but it's gotten more intense.
Are you talking the division on the state level?
Everywhere.
Just
Okay.
contention among the ranks, people butting heads. Then Holly, just so you know, I'm running for office up here in Wasatch.
Oh
I think
boy.
that's great.
But I'm gonna be on the board, but we have this position called media, and it's for setting up websites and doing all that kind of stuff. So I'm really an ancillary part of the GOP board up here, or will be if I win. Although I'm unopposed, so.
Good for you.
Well, I think that'd be great if you got in there to do a media thing.
Well, I'm going to be working with the chairman and the vice chair and the secretary and the treasurer and all of that. It's kind of a little side position that they added to the board up here because everybody needs communications.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish I had a budget to have a communications person.
Well, they're not paying me. This is not a budget. Well, some of the stuff requires a budget. The website and that sort of stuff does, but.
Right. So what I wanted to get into is, for many of you that may not know or may know, is this year's organizing convention on May 17th for the state. They're voting for a new state party chair, or also Robert Axon, who has been on our show before. He is running again, and you spelled your name wrong. He's been phenomenal Did you change Jared's name?
Because I can't see.
Yeah, he's running,
Anderson.
and Phil Lyman has also announced that he's going to run, and I've reached out to him and invited him on the show, and he said he'd love to come on again. And we've had him on also. We're just trying to figure out when, because I'm really interested in, he sent out an email announcing his candidacy, and I have a lot of questions.
I'm gonna get him on for you, Holly. I'll get him to be on your show. Maybe next week.
I would love that. Yeah, we've got an open spot for him. We want to make sure that he gets in front of as many delegates as possible, and audience in general, because if you don't know who your delegates are and you're a Republican, for example, you just need to go to voteutah.gov, find out what your precinct is, and reach out to your party. Especially Twilla County, all you got to do is go to the Facebook page, send a private message, and I can get you all that information and let you know who those folks are, because their job literally is to represent their neighbor in their precinct by how they vote. That's how caucus works. When they go and make a decision, it's also their job to educate you on what they've learned and to say, listen, I interviewed these folks, and this is the person that I'm really going to back because of this, 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 and this, and hopefully get you to do the same in a primary.
When
the
I came to
convention
Utah,
vote matches the primary.
When I came to Utah, I had no idea what the caucus system was, okay, because in California they don't have it. I learned about it, and I'm going, this is the best thing since sliced bread. It's very grassroots. We can, and you talk to your neighbors, and everybody talks. And one of the things I'd like to do up here, at least in Wasatch County, is to educate people on how it works, because it's an amazing, beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, okay?
It is, and it is complex. And I've had a lot of people reach out that are new to Utah, and I mean, I had someone draw it for me, so I try to draw it out, because it's really, it can be really difficult. And if for somebody who wants to be involved but doesn't want to do a lot, but they want to be involved, just going to your local caucus and talking to those people who do want the job to be a delegate or a precinct chair or vice chair, telling them what your thoughts are on issues, because these are your neighbors. And once you choose to have them go, or you go for them, it's a representative republic. You're going there on behalf of these folks, and the overall views, you should know them. And if you learn something throughout your time serving as a delegate and interviewing face-to-face all these candidates, and you go back to your precinct. I know for me, I started a Facebook page for my precinct. So as a delegate, every person I went, I gave an update on what I thought of the meeting, the questions I asked. And then I polled it to see what do you guys want? Reach out to me privately if you don't want to talk on Facebook. I emailed my group, and I found that as a delegate, I was not the norm when I first started. A lot of delegates just go there, vote how they want, and that's that. And I was baffled, because I thought, I know people trust you, but then they vote for you, but the whole job is for you to return back and let them know what you've learned. My precinct was adamant I vote for Orrin Hatch. And I was informing them about the guy competing against him. And I even told him, Orrin Hatch says it'll be his last time running. These are the questions I asked. And it was really, they said, we want Orrin Hatch. I had 75 people in my precinct at that time show up to that caucus, because it was a big year for elections. It was a Romney year for president. So, it was crazy. So I report back on what the other guy, and the other guy was great. My precinct came back and said, we want Orrin Hatch. So I voted that way. I was not the norm, I found. And a lot of delegates told me, just vote however you want. Well, then, if that's what you're doing, The primary is not going to match your convention. It's just not. And we're getting accused of being too conservative when we're delegates. I disagree with that. I think we know too much. In our interactions with these folks, we get to know so much. We get to see instantaneous reactions to our questions. We're in an intimate setting usually, and we get to know the candidate a lot. And I think that is a benefit. But if we're not telling others what we've learned, and I don't mean broadcasting on Facebook to an open Republican page. I'm talking about intimately with your precinct, because you don't need to get other people to jump on your train as much statewide. You need to know what your neighbors think, knocking on their doors, telling them what you've learned, and just having a conversation with them. I think that is where caucus could improve exponentially. If we had a focus like that, each delegate is got a way to reach out to everyone in their precinct that's interested. I know not everyone is, but at least to have that. Because if our primaries don't match our convention, then we're missing the boat somewhere.
Something is wrong if that doesn't happen. And like I said, I'm not from here except for the 10 years I've been here, and I became a state delegate, and then now I'm running for the county GOP, and it's just a beautiful thing how this can work if people would do the right thing. And a lot of people become delegates, and like you said, they're not. A delegate should be out there investigating all the candidates and then talking to his neighbors, because there's just not that many people in my precinct. And like I said, at first I was shocked when I moved to Utah because I know everybody. And it's just you talk to your neighbors, you figure out what they're looking for, you give them the information about the candidates, they tell you who to vote for. It's a pure representative form of government. Pure.
Well, and I found that
right from the neighborhood,
in our county, I have to say we had a few of our delegates that just went above and beyond. I just wish I could duplicate them all, because they did make a ton of phone calls. They did go door to door, and for a party chair, I'm not allowed to endorse a candidate, and I don't. I have my personal feelings, but it's better when your party leadership stays neutral, because you do represent every voter, not just one side. And that got me a lot of hate, I have to say, because people wanted me to make a statement about the race or this or that. Now, once I'm given the go by the convention, well, then yes, it's easy to endorse, because delegates gave me the candidate. And I trust the delegates. And then once we get to the primary, and then the voters as a whole gives me the candidate, well, then I have to endorse that candidate. That's literally your job. So if you are running for the seat of an elected representative within the party, you represent everyone, not just one side of the party. And 300,000 votes compared to 4,000, you have to give that credence. And people will ignore the primary ballot and be like, well, they just don't know. Well, then we have failed as delegates.
That is correct.
Inform our neighbors.
It's the delegate's job.
And I want to preserve and save the caucus. I also want to update it and bring it into the 21st century and make it a lot easier for people to attend. I wouldn't even mind making it a week event where if you have the time to chime in, do it over Zoom. We can do SEC over Zoom. We have to prove who we are with our ID and everything like that. But to make it so that anyone running can have their own representation if they're running, and so people can know who the candidates are during caucus and have an idea. I don't know if that means filing deadline should be sooner and caucus should be after the filing deadline, so at least the average Joe knows who's in the race and can say, hey, I want you to ask this person this, this, and this. Or I don't like this person because of this, this, and this. And now as a delegate, I know, okay, you're mad at the governor for this and this and this. When I ask the governor, I'm going to bring all of this up because this is what my precinct cares about. And then bringing the answers back to my precinct. Caucuses is definitely could be always better, but it's also, we try to do a caucus training where we train delegates and everything else a couple weeks prior. We train precinct chairs. Our party has done this. Again, we don't have a huge budget, and we do depend on the donations of venue and people's time, especially someone like Chris Knoll, who's come out and trained our delegates prior. And he's a software guy. He knows the ins and outs. So to have him spend his time and money and gas to come out and do a training for 2 or 3 hours, that's on his time, but he believes in it just like I do. And I think it's so important that we preserve it.
All right, let me take a minute real quick, if I can. Everyone, sorry I'm late. I just got all the sharing done. Welcome to Political Head Trauma, where if Head Trauma had a podcast, it would sound like this. David says, David has a couple comments. Did you catch any of those?
We got the brain ones and the unfixable one.
Okay, he said there should be a delegate app developed for Utah. That's a good comment, Dave. And I know a guy who knows a guy who can do some things like that. So you know who I'm talking about. Anyways, he says the neighbors need to put some effort into communication as well. That is true. Here's the thing. Here's my question is, how do you get, okay, so let me paint you a picture of your everyday voter, or maybe not even voter, as you come up on elections. One, let's face it, our political system nationally makes everyone feel disenfranchised. Our political system in the state makes half the people feel disenfranchised, and our political system county makes a third, and then town, makes a quarter. So I think one thing to do with the neighbors is we've got to get the education out on this is, and maybe civics would help. They took civics out of school, so that's obviously going to harm us. But it'd help if you become a delegate to get out and pound the pavement. Let people know, hey, I'm your local delegate. If you have any questions that you want to know about the elections that are coming up, do you know who's running? Do you want me to tell you about who's running? Or the party could, especially prior to caucus, the party could, maybe put out a pamphlet for the local people that's running, that just, non-biased pamphlet is showing a picture, name, who they are, contact info, whatever, that delegates can go door to door, knock on doors, hand them out, or if the delegate's shy, just drop them off on the fence post or, by the doorknob. Get the information out there. Most people don't even understand this whole caucus thing. What are you talking about? They just know that, oh, I get something in the mail, I scribble on it, and then it gets sent off, or I go to this place, I walk inside, go through the procedure in there. So that's just one thing.
Parties don't really have a budget for, not all parties have a budget for printers, but we do usually have a link in the county clerk.
And that's great.
A link, and so does the state. Vote.
That's great. The delegate can walk around, and just, I don't know, can you print a piece of paper like with that, apartment for rent with the little dangly things on the bottom with the website?
Oh, you could do any of that.
The delegates walk around with a piece of paper with the spiel they can give, and then hand them one of them little tabs that has the website. If you have any questions about who you want to vote for, or if you're undecided on any of the different positions that's being ran for, go to this website, look the person up, tell me what you decide for yourself, whatever. And then before we get to caucus, this is my phone number. Give me a call, because I'm the guy who's going to be representing you on caucus. You see what I'm saying? Smell what I'm stepping in. Are
Oh,
you
yeah.
picking up what I'm putting
So
down?
huge. It's so huge, but it's so rare. And a lot of people, like you said, they don't have time to get involved politically. And if you get them to show up to caucus, that is huge. And
Yeah.
they vote
Well,
for that delegate. Usually they want to be done with it. And they don't even want to give their email out or their address.
No, they don't.
I'm voting for this person. I'm voting for you. You handle it. So I get that. And David is saying more people in the community need to be involved with communication. But it's not
well,
easy as that sounds. A lot of people.
David was my local delegate here. And I'm going to ask him how many people in this little area he was delegate for does he think knew he was their delegate? I would bet 8%, maybe 9%. So that's where it gets hard. So I don't know. There's got to be different ninja ways we can get around that. Or because, I mean, right now you're going into, that's why I think we had this split. Now I know we beat this horse into the ground. I want to talk national stuff, all the sexy stuff here in a minute, but that's why we had this split between caucus and the primary here in Utah over the governorship last year, is because you have delegates that are people that are deeply involved. And right now in a contentious year, they're going to be people that are kind of on the extreme side, right? The general doesn't feel that. Now, you can disenfranchise everybody out there and just say, we're going to have caucus rule. But if you don't do the reach out on the caucus, you're probably going to sour the caucus idea with the populace. And if any chance comes up to vote that away, they will vote that away. Then the party doesn't matter. So that's just my 2 cents.
That is my biggest fear right now, is that we've already lost that SB 54. We've already lost it. It's already gone to the Supreme Court of Utah. We lost. I know the public, if they don't know about it, a lot of the people in the public are going to feel like, because count my vote is the best marketing slogan you could have ever asked for if you wanted to take something like caucus down. Because of course you want your vote counted.
When is there? Name me one initiative like that, statewide, countywide, or nationally, that isn't named to draw in the average person, and it's complete BS. How was the Patriot Act? How patriotic is the Patriot Act?
Oh, man. Don't start me on that one.
Yeah, the Patriot Act is super patriotic.
Those same people that are behind Count My Vote to get rid of the caucus system, they are well funded and they are waiting for another opportunity to come in, and they've got the numbers behind them. So if we go to that and we bring it to the populace and we are not prepared as far as to get our delegates working right, and like you said, being very, very upfront and educating the people and letting them know they're local people, we're dead in the water and we'll probably go broke doing it.
Yeah. And Utah is, I mean, let's face it, Utah always had a superpower, which was the LDS church, where you go, I mean, you can essentially divide precincts up by wards here in Utah at any given time. Yeah, they could hit it like that. That's done. It's over. You know, the LDS church is less than 50%. So delegates got to get out there and hit the ground running and educate the people you're representing. Represent those people. Be what you want to see Congress be for once.
Amen.
All right. Let's get sexy. I got ready like Donald Duck today in a pair of shorts and a button-up shirt.
We were talking about the state party chair race. So we can end on that note, but right now I know of 2 people running. I think there'll be more. Filing deadline is still happening. Do you know, Duane? The state party filing deadline?
I don't know. I only know my county. Okay. Right. My county is April 15th because that's my biggest concern. I don't know what the state deadline is. Okay.
So I don't know it offhand, but just because I'm not running for anything, I'm sure those of you that are running probably know it verbatim, but we are going to have this, and we have to keep that in the back of our minds. We've got to think about what we can do as a party and what we expect as delegates and as voters in Utah, because the party chair is their role isn't all powerful GOP. Their role is to work with electeds and to navigate the SEC meetings and just make sure that they're making a like they talk to the press about how the party feels, but they represent the SEC and the governing body of the party. But their job isn't to go in like a wrecking ball per se into electeds offices and hit one way or another extra conservative extreme or extra, rhino, as people call it. Their job is to be a voter representative of all the populace. And
tell the listeners what SCC. When I first heard that, I went, Securities and Exchange Commission.
I told them earlier when you were gone.
Tell them again. They need to be reminded.
I told them why you were gone. SEC is the State Central Committee, which is the governing body of our.
It's party. Not SEC. It's SCC. Sierra Charlie Charlie.
They need to be reminded over and over again. This is part of the deal. Is people don't know how this works. When I came here and I found out about it, I went, I want to know how this works. So I did a whole bunch of investigations, became a state delegate, went to my caucus, went to my precinct meetings, went to my caucus. Now I'm moving up the chain, going to become part of the county GOP. And I'm going, really? Do I really want to do this? It's a big job.
And you're going to be in Wasatch County, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And right. One of the big things, Jared, you said this, the communication has to go both ways. People need to know how this works. They need to understand what is the State Central Committee. So
I would argue initially the communication needs to come down.
Yes,
it needs
absolutely.
to head downward. You've got to initiate. You're the one with the knowledge. You've got to instruct the people and hand the knowledge off. If you don't do that, you can expect for the people to keep feeling disenfranchised, for them to quit caring. And then when someone comes around and says, hey, would you like your vote to matter more? I've got a dog that eats its own crap to sell you. That's what they're telling you, but It sounds good to them.
Well, and like you said, the names of these organizations, it's like you see the name of the organization, you go, wait a minute, you dig into it and you find out that it's the opposite of that name.
Classic politics. And here's the thing, the state party has just either it's launched now or it will be shortly, their new website. One of the big things that I said as a county chair is exactly what you said. We have to draw it out what exactly the caucus system is, because we've got to tell it to people like they're learning it for the first time, because many of them are, and understand why as a party we need it. Because without it, it's jungle primaries. There's no accountability. There's no need for county parties. There's no need for a state party without it. There really isn't, because it's delegates who elect delegates elect the state leadership.
It's exactly what happened in California. They have what they call the top two. Doesn't matter what party you're in, whoever gets the top two votes to do a runoff. And it's just wrong. The Republican Party is completely lost in California. Completely.
They're lost for lots of reasons in California, but yes, that's one of them. Or actually,
I think.
It's tough. It's the whole party system's corrupted us and ruined us anyway. So, seriously, it has, because someone with a good idea in California, which is a good idea, but say it leans Republican, wouldn't get support from the Democrat Party. Therefore, they wouldn't get funding. Therefore, a good idea doesn't rise to the top. No, it's all the party systems corrupt us. But okay, so everyone who's going to be a delegate, and I'm a member of a new group on Facebook called Utah GOP Delegates or something like that, and I'm sharing this there. Hopefully, a couple of them catch up with it later and take a few comments out, and then I figure I'd better learn how to make shorts, so maybe I'll make one out of that.
We have a state delegate party website on Facebook, and then any of your local precincts. And one thing I've encouraged in our county is precinct chair should create a Facebook page, and we have a state party or
let's remember, Holly, hold on. Who was the precinct chair for my dad's precinct last year?
You were kind of.
It was my dad, and my dad did not know. He owns a computer that he calls and has me go to his house and look at stuff on it for him.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm not saying precinct chairs should necessarily do it. Delegates should do it. I was never a precinct chair. As a delegate, I did it for our precinct.
And
also,
that's
it's important somebody does it. Anybody.
And maybe that should be a sheet that when you have the caucus night, you send that down to the precinct chair saying, try to find someone to do this for you. Try to build these means of communication. My dad freely gives out his phone number. He lives in Grantsville. Everyone knows it anyway. It's been the same number since 18 whenever. But it's seriously same number. Like, I think the number's like 1. Anyways, it's the same phone number all forever, and he willingly gives it out. But if we were to try to get him set up a Facebook page.
Well, and a lot of their elderly members don't have Facebook, but they have email. And that's why, as a party, we do all our official county business via email for that reason.
Oh boy.
My central committee voted to make email our primary communication.
Oh, my dad has email. I'm the one who set it up. I'm the one who knows how to access it.
Like the state
this
party chair,
is why we have this new
is
position up here in Wasatch. I'm going to be the media specialist. We have a president, we got a chairman, a vice chairman, a secretary, and all of that. But this should be something that works with every one of the groups, every county, because the communication sucks. And that's going to be my position. Media specialist, Facebook, website, email. We're going to be doing texting, all of that stuff. Okay.
I like that. I like
my bylaws, though. For us to have a position like that has to be in our bylaws, which our central committee, again, my job as a chair is to have the meeting and navigate the meeting, but it's my central committee, which is all of our precinct chairs and vice chairs. They make up my central committee. They make the decisions and rules. They're the governing body for the county. And otherwise, it falls on myself and our party secretary. She does all the communication and is the main communicator between delegate and precinct chairs.
That's the way it was here.
One source.
That's the way it was here. And I'm going to be communicating between all of the officers and because they don't have time to do it on top of everything else. Okay.
Well,
I do it all. And I do the socials and the emails, and I send her the agenda.
Holly, I wish every county did that. I'm going to let you guys go and talk because I think Jared.
Well, hold on, Duane. I want to throw some thoughts at you real quick because
Go ahead.
that media thing. That's an outstanding thing because there's no reason why you can't host a Facebook page and then get a hold of the different precinct members and say, all right, just push this button and turn your camera on and introduce yourself. Tell me where you're your precinct boss of, And they don't, like someone like my dad wouldn't have to know how to do anything. He could just say, hey, this is me. This is my number. If you want to contact me, if you have any questions, this is my address, whatever. People can go on there, seek out their precinct member or precinct chair, and then go and contact them, talk to them. If they want to become get involved, anything else, they've got a point of contact because, man, we just can't suffer our way through everything.
But that's what the party's job is. Right now,
the party's been failing.
If someone from your dad's precinct were to reach out to myself or Christina and say, who's my precinct chair? We give her all that information.
Yes.
That's our job, to make sure she knows who that precinct chair is. The problem is your dad's in a precinct where no one will step up and run that precinct. Yeah. He's the one who stands up and does it.
I know.
That is the case in so many precincts that this is where David's thing comes in. The neighbors need to put effort into communication as well. The neighbors need to step up because it's usually the same people serving as precinct chairs. And it's exhausting for people who are done, but no one else will do it.
Let me ask you a question.
That is so common.
How many people on my street do you think have a clue about caucus, have a clue about any of that?
I have no idea.
None.
Maybe 2%. Maybe 2%. And so that's
You
where I
didn't go to
say
your own caucus. So how do you know how many showed up?
that's true, because I've got to go help out someone else's caucus, and I'm not a Republican. Let's remember that. I've got to go help out someone else's. But let's think about that. I think the party needs to become proactive. They need to do that initial outreach.
Yes, we do everything we can, because all we have is a list of registered voters. We get one list a year, and that list, we have apps that are free that we give to precinct chairs if they want it, or not precinct chairs, but delegates who have reached out. We give them an app with registered voters, because you don't want delegates just knocking on anybody's door. Because you get a Democrat's door, you're going to have them at a debate or whatever, or they're going to call and complain about harassment. We've had that in the past. People with no soliciting signs, they get mad. The sheriff has to get alerted. We have specific registered Republicans that we knock on doors with, and we talk to people about having ran someone's campaign and knocked on doors both in your area and in like Tooele, the edge of Tooele where the Mountain View is. Out of one street, this is what you have to remember, out of a street of 10 houses, maybe 4 or less were registered Republicans. We are a county heavy in independents. They don't register as Republicans. Therefore, as the party, I can only reach out to those who are willing to put that R next to their name when they register.
100%.
People like you who are a candidate-driven voter, if you vote and don't want to be affiliated with the party, will not come up on our registry. So I wouldn't even know to reach out to you. So,
and that's fine, but you don't need to worry about them for caucus night anyway.
No, but I would love to have them show up to a caucus and participate, but they have to be registered Republicans to go to caucus. They have to be a registered Republican to be able to vote for a delegate. And
I'll register Republican when the Republicans quit letting me down. When the Republicans do away with the Patriot Act, I'll register Republican.
Yeah.
Well, how about the Democrats do away with it? Somebody do away with it.
Hey, if the Democrats do away with it, this would be a whole different show. But
I'd love to see you register as a Democrat. You'd have to bend yourself really far backwards to follow that.
I'll tell you what, there's a movement. If I was in California, I would register Democrat and try to make the Democrat Party logical.
Good luck with that.
Little edges.
You would probably not get any support. I don't think they want to be logical.
I'd try. But anyways,
he'd give it a try anyway. Yeah.
I'd give it the old uncollege try. So, all right. So, national stuff. What have you guys? So right now, the big news everywhere, obviously, is tariffs.
Liberation Day.
What are the? I'm torn on this. So
me too. It's good news, bad news. Yeah.
Well, see, I watch it and you see the Democrats call out it's the end of the world. Every other tariff maker has started a depression, everything else. And they're not lying on those statistics. But, and then you got Republicans that are just like ride or die, whatever. And coming from more of the libertarian side, I am not fond of tariffs. I recognize them as as economic prohibitive on your own populace. But I mean, I'm going to sit back and wait and see what happens. I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to call out, oh, this is going to bring all the businesses roaring back, or this is going to, sink us. But that's all anyone's talking about. And that's how it moves. If you notice, there's issue by issue. Last week it was they're deporting homosexual hairdressers to Devil's Island where they sent Napoleon and everything else. And now it's something else. So, what's, and it'd be nice we had a Democrat here to talk about this, but what's your thoughts on the tariffs?
I'll let you go first, Duane, since you're on a limit.
I am torn on tariffs, mainly because tariffs, the thing that I keep going back to is that we have been unfairly tariffed for a long time here. Okay.
The United States,
and,
right?
I mean, we're getting reamed by tariffs from other people. Not that fighting back with tariffs is a good thing, but there are benefits and deficits both ways. It's really hard for me to figure out. I'd really like to speak to somebody who's an expert in economics on tariffs, okay?
Mm.
Because it works both ways. I mean, it's going to bring back jobs, yes, but how long is that going to take? When you're talking about supply chain and manufacturing and building factories and that sort of stuff, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be painful in the meantime. In the long run, I think it's good. And one of the things I keep hoping is that they're using these as a bargaining chip, as leverage to get the other guys to stop their tariffs.
Yes, that's
Okay?
how I see
That's
it too.
really how I'm hoping for it to turn out.
Retributional tariffs. I'm with you. I think that as a country, we have been tariffed to death in other countries. I think it's absolutely fair to match them. I don't like using them as a threat and all of that, to our neighbors, but meeting them where they're at with us, I think is absolutely fair. Absolutely. And eventually, I think
or threatening them and getting them to drop their
get rid of the federal income tax, and let's just use tariffs like we used to use. I mean, if we're going in that direction, I could be on board with that. But if it could bring enough money, and then we stick with that. But I don't like the American people getting. I mean, I worry about what it's going to do to any farmers and all of that. But knowing they're already being tariffed as high as they are in other countries, this should be an even playing field. And the fact that no one has ever argued this on our behalf before gives me great dismay.
Canadians could not buy our milk, butter, eggs, and beef. They can't buy it because it's so highly tariffed. It wouldn't make any sense.
Okay. Like 200% on eggs, I think, or something like that.
The tariffs are protective, okay, until they become so obtrusive that they lose their value.
Well, and how many of our farmers are able to sell it here in our country? And what I want to know is what's stopping them? How many regulations are in place that is prohibiting business going in our country that they have to go outside of our country? That's something we need to look at, because I think regulation is killing our small businesses anyway and our big businesses. And if farmers have to sell their goods in Canada but can't because of the extensive tariffs they have to pay to even sell a product there, why? We have 300 million people here in this country. What's stopping them from selling it here in this country?
They do sell it here.
That's what I'd like to know. And why are we tolerating that? I think we should have retribution there, or at least the playing field.
There's a lot of globalism going on too, just in the meatpacking industry. Most of our meat, we grow cows here, but we ship it to Brazil and they chop it up. Okay, because it's just dumb. It's dumb. Okay.
I would rather eat meat that is grown here in the country, that is cared for here in the country, than buy it from overseas. But I understand the American government lets these people come in, and yet sending it out, we're charged all this money. This doesn't make sense. Again, it's that common sense thing. Let's just end tariffs altogether. If it comes to that, hey, Canada, you don't want us to match your tariffs? End our tariffs. We'll end your tariffs. We're done.
That's what I'm hoping is it's being used as leverage to stop them from tariffing us. It's like it just becomes a tariff war. It's a turf war.
It's going to be interesting to watch. Life is driving. Adam, he says, "How did you get Hulk Hogan?" Oh, that's Duane with the Hulk stash. But then he says, good comment here. He says the same people celebrating the Luigi murder of a CEO is crying about the top 1% losing their stock portfolio value. And that is a pretty good point.
Well, and you have to, if you look at I saw a chart today of the stocks. If you go back over 5 years, This is just a little blip on the radar, and it's been going up for forever. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But who knows what's going to happen? You try to predict. I mean, the stock market.
that is true, and we're what, less than a week into it.
Yeah.
So
literally 3 days.
Now the reason you've got leftists griping about the stock portfolio loss is because they're just trying to get a message. It's all messaging and rhetoric. They don't care. They naturally don't care. Me personally, I don't know how I feel about it. If the stock market takes a little bit of a hit, I mean, it has negative repercussions, but also it's good once in a while to tell the 1% that there's other people out here that matter too. I don't know, but I'm still concerned about tariffs. But it's all messenger and message. I mean, let's face it. There's Republicans out there that if the Democrat Party came out pro-life and moved a pro-life bill through the Congress and the Senate, there's Republicans who would speak out against it because it came from Democrats. And there is Democrats out there who'd speak out against I don't know, whatever wacky bill they've got going on if Republicans pushed it. And maybe that's the trick. You know, I mean, I like Trump's 80-20 stuff he does because it shows a lot of ridiculous cracks. You know, get the Democrats to argue that gravity doesn't work or the sky is green just by him saying stuff. It's great.
Adam just made an excellent point. The companies tanking on Wall Street have business models reliant on third world slave labor. And this is the thing that has got me. In China, the only reason they can bring you low prices is because they're paying people a ridiculous living wage. Not even a living wage. And they're paying children. You know, it's already happening in China, India, in Mexico. So if we stop this as a country and say, look, we don't want to do business with those companies, the same people that are freaking out about their stock portfolio loss are the same people willing to burn Tesla to the ground. Yeah. It has so many people's retirement is invested in Tesla that, oh, yeah, like Tampon Tim said, yeah, well, let's hope their stock tanks, and then has to back up by saying, whoa, I didn't mean that, because most of his state is invested in that portfolio.
It's not just his state, but it's his state retirement fund, his state 401k.
His police officers, his teachers.
Yeah.
The best people among his citizenry.
Well, it just goes to Orange Man bad. Labor? You know, it just cracks me up, the Orange Man bad. My brother sent me this meme. It says, if Trump said oxygen was good for you, 20 million Democrats would immediately stop breathing and suffocate themselves.
And that's true. And I love Trump's 80-20 stuff. I love it. Yeah. He will argue and get the Democrats to come out and fight for the 20. You know, if he talked about how nice it is to wear a well-fitting pair of shoes, Democrats would hobble themselves the next day. Yeah, well. Republicans are the same way. Both parties are the same way. We're super polarized as a nation right now. I mean, I would like to do a show just talking about if we do enter the great two-way rifle range, what does that look like? I mean, if you sit and think about it, it's a horror show.
It's not pretty.
We are flirting with it. And yes, to the world, here's the message. We did this globalization thing for a while, and it was done to the benefit, but also on the backs of the middle class of the U.S., and it stripped the middle class. The middle class either moved into the lower class, and a very few of them moved into the upper class. And so the populace of the United States is pretty done with the globalist thing. We're done being the world soldier. We're done being the world police. We're done securing the shipping lanes of the world. And we've been moving that way for 15 years now. I mean, let's just think about it. When we stopped having floats out in the world that were, destroyer strong and had one carrier in the center. And we've gone to where it's all carrier groups. It's all that. So we've got world conquering stuff, but we don't have the cop cars out there is what the destroyers were. Those were the ones that were smaller, more of them. You could spread them around the world and they would secure zones, where now it's aircraft carriers. They cover fewer plots of land. So
we have a base in every continent. I mean,
yeah, but it's a deeper thing. We've pulled away from. We have, and it's. I sound like an American radical. I kind of am. It's here. I better put this one on there so everyone can see it.
Hey guys, I gotta go. It's 7:30.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you carry on. Okay.
You jump out of here. Hey, thanks, Duane. We'll talk to you later, man. Thanks for carrying this for us.
You are welcome. Have a good weekend, guys.
You too. Thank you. We lost Jared. Okay.
I turned off the wrong guy.
Duane went for handsome and turned himself off. He was correct.
Jared, anyway, I have to say, the American people are. I'm on the other side of this. I don't know why I'm fuzzy. The American people are so used to getting their goods for cheap. That's going to be, and for like the Temu website and Shein and stuff from Walmart that's giving them really cheap stuff. I'm not sure the American people, especially the middle class and our impoverished class, are going to be okay with doing away with those low prices, because an American company can't make stuff that cheap when they're actually paying wages.
I'll tell you how we know they are not ready to. There's got to be some kind of soft revolution in the US, but I don't know if you remember, I think it was around 1990, Walmart did the push where they were going to sell only US made stuff. Do you remember that?
No, in 90, Walmart wasn't super centers yet.
Wasn't super centers, but it was still department stores, and they said we're only going to sell U.S. made stuff, and it almost sunk Walmart like within a year, because it was so much more expensive. There were less things available, and yes, China makes some cool stuff, and we want to continue to trade with them and whatever, and. The unreciprocating tariffs come around from us being that strong world power, but the cost, and I don't even blame the downfall of our middle class on that. I kind of blame the downfall of our middle class on other things. It's the corporatizing of America. Everything's corporate now. When there used to be small manufacturing companies, they've all gone away. Now it's all big conglomerates, and that soaks up where you make enough to get by, but it's not the same, and it makes it so there's fewer people who are building momentum. Momentum is built by a corporation, and you just become a cog in said corporation. And there's some positives to that. I don't want to just paint a negative outlook on that, but the U.S. has gone that way, and then they've gone. You want to talk about what's killing small businesses? As a small business owner, about to not be, there's a law that came down that I have to get like a legal representative to tell me what laws, what regulations are around me all the time. So I've got to go pay someone to do this. So it's almost like we become a country of lawyers making fellow lawyers rich. I mean, in Utah, what's that?
If you wanted to, when we had a business and we looked at putting our product in Walmart, just to have a product in Walmart as a business owner, why am I so fuzzy and weird? I don't have any filters on my camera. I don't know what's going on.
I think you might be getting washed out by the lights,
the sun going down. So to have that product in Walmart, it's almost like Home Shopping Network. You have to have thousands of product ready to ship and be in that store in multiple stores. And you have to have a price point that is comparable. The average American business cannot afford to put a product in Walmart. maybe in a local store, maybe there's some leeway, but you just can't afford it.
Well, it's because Walmart wants it so that if you go to a Walmart in Kalamazoo and you go to a Walmart in Phoenix, you recognize what's in there. You can go there and depend on getting what you get at each store.
Well, more so they want it to be cheaper than competitors.
Well, that
Our
too,
Walmart
but
has stuff that, Texas Walmart doesn't have. I'm just talking about toys but like everyday grocery products, yes. But the non-food products can vary between stores. And I think they have a leeway with what they can take, electronics, sporting goods, outdoors goods, guns.
yeah, that's true.
All specific, but
That's true. You're not going to buy a gun in a New Jersey Walmart. But what I'm saying is they want to have thousands of goods there so that if every Walmart in the U.S. ordered 10 of whatever, they're able to get that to every Walmart.
Yeah, I'm just saying for American companies, it's really difficult. And to be honest, most American families would love to shop somewhere else, but cannot afford to.
Well, it's not just that, but
you got to find ways for them to make better living. People need to have higher wages. They need to have lower taxes. They should be able to keep some of their own money. I mean, let's just say we've seen the waste in our government already, and it's only growing. And honestly, you said it first. If we brought more manufacturing back to this country and manufactured more and had more of that, if we had our own gas and energy and all of that, and we gave it to American citizens first, and then we sold it to other countries in need, that money should all come back to the taxpayer in either less taxes or cheaper items. I don't know. I think less taxes is the way to go, if not any. Get rid of the income tax and we live on what we sell outside of this nation. Corporate tax should be dropped down to zero in my perfect world. Get every company in the world to come here. But until our Congress ratifies these executive orders into law, we are sitting on a plank, just not knowing.
Well, either way,
and what's going to go. This is bothering me.
It'd be nice if tariffs could cover our financial burden for our government, but I don't know if tariffs could. Oh, that's much better. We see you have a face now and not just blue eyes.
Blurry.
Well,
how is that?
Holly, you're a blurry person. But it'd be nice. Are you going through your front facing or back facing camera? Probably your front facing, right?
It's front facing.
Yeah.
Back facing. What does that mean? I'm going to check the.
Yeah. Do what you got to do.
Okay.
But our government is so expensive. It's just like our county government and our cities. They keep raising our taxes every year. How much of our money do they need? Are we bloated on personnel? Is that where we're at? But how much of the measly penance that I get for my labor does the city and the county and the state need from me? How much do they need to take? Not to mention the school district, and the school district's doing great. They built I still wish they'd name it Shadow of the Temple High. Saturday morning drowners, number 13. He's a wide receiver. But anyways, I still, why we're going to drown under government. When the U.S. collapses, this is I want Congress people to hear this. God, I wish Celeste was here to hear this right now. When the U.S. collapses, it's going to be the same reason the French collapsed, and that's because it was overly expensive, overly complicated, and unresponsive government. And all it's going to take is a drought or a little bit of a super cold winter could do it. Most of the time it's droughts, though. And then it's over. Party ended.
I don't want to believe that America is going to collapse. And I'm going to clean the camera just in case it's blurry for that reason.
Do you think we're going to be the first superpower on Earth that never collapses?
Hope we are.
Is that your thought? That everyone else, that Greece and Rome and Akkad, China 4 times, India once, Europe. I mean, how's Europe doing? Talk about a continent that. Hi, Skyly. Talk about a continent that built the world, and now they have just kind of the only place in Europe that's still vibrant is the place that were ran by the communists, 30 years ago. That's it.
They want a globalist agenda. That's what's got to stop. They want to make us one government, one world, and that we have to get off of that train. That is not the American way. It's not. We don't want to serve under a king. And to have a globalist, why is my camera blurry? This is nuts. To have a globalist type of government is very dangerous for our Constitution and our freedoms.
Well, I don't know. A globalist government with our Constitution, I'm down for.
They're not going to take our Constitution.
But no, it's Europe has given up on life. What is France doing now? I mean, the French, what do? Smoke cigarettes and eat baguettes. That's the French economy.
Germany is buying their energy from a country that hates them.
It's not just that. I mean, and Germany has totally given up on any kind of Germany's gone weird, and you can tell Germany's gone weird because of the weird side of Germany that comes out of it, and we don't need to go there.
I love Germany. I love it.
Okay, go on. Anyways,
Germany, but I got to turn a light on in my house, and maybe that will help.
You keep trying stuff. I'll just keep chattering. But Europe's given up. I mean, we got to remember, China was on the verge of becoming a world power, and then a couple times. And then they'd swap emperors, and the emperor would make them destroy all the knowledge the empire had so that they can write themselves in as perfect. And that's what kept kicking China back. China had ships that sailed the seas first. They had glasses first. They had writing first. All of that. And it all got destroyed every time a new emperor or their bureaucracy felt threatened by other political class, such as the merchant class, or it felt threatened. At certain times, the bureaucracy had more political clout than the emperor, and the bureaucracy would stop it. So that's your mandarins. They would stop it. And China just became the same thing that's happening in China now with the CCP is what happened in ancient China with people families would save forever on the farm to train one child out of the whole, like all of the broader family, like the whole clan, to send them to test to become a mandarin so that they could suckle on the teat of the government. And that got to where, much like they do now, China does the same thing now. They will take a whole clan and pour all that energy into educating one child to get them to get into the CCP and rise up in the CCP.
Again, and I think that's communism, though. I mean,
no, it's not communism. I think it's deeper than communism. I think it's their culture from pre-modernity. I think it's their culture because it's their culture before communism existed. It's their culture when they were monarchists.
And they're not going to change. But let's more talk about Rome, a place that had a republic type government. That's where I think we compare the United States to. China is going to be China, and they're so draped in history and ancestry and tradition. I don't think they've ever had a real free people over there. We're the American experiment. So here we are, and we don't have a moral people. And as long as we don't have a moral people, I don't know that we have a successful republic. And I think that's our big focus. We are doomed by the way of the Roman Empire if we don't get some stuff figured out.
What killed the Roman Empire? Lots of things
Jordan.
killed.
Hi, Jordan.
Yeah, he says, hey, yo, what's up, guys? Hey, what are your thoughts on Secretary Kennedy coming to Utah Monday? We Americans are being screwed over continually. Yes, we are. So Robert Kennedy, Secretary of Health and Human Services, is coming to Utah Monday, huh? I wonder what's going on there. Maybe he's going to come. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard about it. I'll do a quick look up. But, I mean, we got to remember Rome.
Maybe you could zoom out on me. I don't know why I am so blurry.
She's freaking out, man. Is that better?
Yes, I don't look as blurry. I don't have a filter on here, guys, and I've got an HP camera that comes with my computer. I've cleaned the lens, everything else. Jordan, what is he coming to Utah for? Is he meeting with our health department, with our university? I imagine.
RFK Jr. coming to Utah on Monday to talk fluoride.
Okay.
Well, we do not have fluoride in Tooele, nor do we have it in Grantsville. So that's good. Kennedy, I fully support you on that. That is... Who took that picture and put it on there? Find that person. KPCW.
What picture on where?
Oh, it's. I'm gonna share it. They should not have shared this.
Looking?
I'm just gonna share it. You should be able to see it here in just a second. You see it? Who put that?
Whoever did it doesn't like him very much.
They do not like him at all. I mean, let's face it. He's a good looking guy. He's into his 70s and the guy is fit. He looks good. He looks sharp. They picked a moment when he was like mid sneeze. What the world?
That's just me.
So coming to talk fluoride, I'm fully in support of not having fluoride in the water. I don't want to have stuff in the water that doesn't purify the water, that doesn't give that I would like to be able to opt out of having fluoride. And the studies have come out. Fluoride lowers IQ, crystallizes stuff, something else, something about the third eye. You can't be a good psychic. I don't know. But we do know the study came out. It lowers IQ. The study, I don't know who.
I'll just tell you what I don't want. I don't want stuff over my head getting dropped out of the sky either.
Yeah, bombs.
Not just I'm talking about the those air things are coming out of airplanes that they tell you, oh,
the chemtrails.
Chemtrails. They say that's just from airplanes, and yet you look, no, that's actually on purpose, and they're trying to seed clouds and do all of this artificial stuff to make weather. I don't like it, because from the air to the soil to the water to the people, that needs to be looked at, just like fluoride in the water. That needs to be looked at. How long have they been doing that? Since the 60s, I think, is when they started that. And all of a sudden, we've got the health rate of Americans just going downhill.
Yeah.
And I would like to see water purified in Flint, Michigan. I want to see air and ground purified in Palestine, Ohio. Is that where it is?
Palestine. East
Wherever.
Palestine.
I would like to see, land and stuff improved in Hawaii where they have the fire. North Carolina's environment. This all should be a focus. I would like to see all American drugs manufactured in America. That's what I would like to see. And farmers to be deregulated and able to sell anywhere. I mean, the Amish said this. The government was telling them they couldn't sell raw milk, and they couldn't do this and couldn't do that. And they're sick of it. I think most people should be sick of the actual standards our government is putting on us health-wise, and yet allowing these artificial dyes and crap to poison us. and we're funding our own demise in so many levels in this nation, so many different levels.
Mm-hmm.
So I applaud Kennedy. I hope that we know more. I would love to make sure we know everything we can know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we'll have to see who he's meeting with. But, hopefully he's meeting, maybe Nicolene will be there. Maybe she'll get to meet with him and see what's going on there. Jordan says, I missed the Hulk Hogan comment. I ate at the Hulk Hogan restaurant in Florida. It's a cool place. Go in there. I'll tell you what, brother, we make the best chicken fingers on earth. But yeah.
Oh, brother.
We've reached kind of a complicated place I would like to say that if iPhones were made in the US and cost double what they were, would I still buy an iPhone or would I seek an alternative? And I don't know. I would say here's what I'd like to see. I would like to see us start making things to last again. Everything seems disposable. Everything. Your iPhone has a term limit. Cars do too. I mean, you're paying, $40,000 for a car, just a sedan, nothing fancy. And there's not going to be in 30 years, there's not going to be guys who restore, 2015 Ford Taurus because it's cool and something cool to do. Not like they did with the old Ford Fairlanes and things like that, because they're made plastic and disposable and they're made to be used and thrown away. It's moving to a model like right now, the ideal way to buy a car is to get in on a lease, because they're overly expensive and they're not made to last.
Products are made to break down so that so they can sell more of them. I remember my grandmother had a refrigerator for so many years.
Yeah, and those old round bodies, old International
really
Harvester.
Old, and they were just made right. And if they broke down, they were made to be repaired to keep them going. And yet nowadays, it's cheaper to buy a new one than it is to fix an old one.
Yeah, that's 100%.
Coming from someone who has a 1969 Dodge Charger. That is a tank. All the pieces are metal and it's heavy, and man, does it growl. It growls. You don't have that in vehicles.
And the new cars are, I'm not going to lie, I know a lot of people gripe, but they are better. They drive better. They handle better. They're 1,000 times safer, but they're disposable. They made cars into disposable razors that give you the best shave ever, but you use them 5-10 times and then you toss them in the garbage and pull another one out of the package. And I don't know, it's
oh, but the luxury of driving it, you're right. It is the best shave ever.
Yeah.
While it lasts.
So I don't know. Would it be nice if
so nice.
What if you bought a cell phone that lasted 20 years and was upgradable? They could, as the battery went dead, you could go in and they'd pop the back off or do whatever, put a new battery in it. And, you could upgrade things. I don't know. But now it's just gotten to where your phones are disposable. Everything's just a consumer item, just consume it and then throw it away. And we're just filling up garbage heaps, and it's depressing. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. To close this off, this week's, last week we should have spent a few minutes talking about Signalgate too, but maybe we'll get to that once that all shakes out. I don't, sounds like someone made a blunder.
I wanted to say something about, you said, Paul, that Republicans will follow in line and everything. as long as it's Trump or whatever. But
no, not as long as like, the Republican Party. I would say
I wanted to add something to that regarding my own
registered Republicans, you'll probably get 70% of them will fall in line behind Trump right now. And then you get another 20% that will float either way. And then you got 10% that are going to be anti-Trump on whatever.
I'm talking about the immigration and how the gentleman was swept up last week who had a family who the government didn't really give any proof of a crime that he committed, and they sent him to El Salvador, which is where he's originally from. And he is here illegally, but he got caught up in that criminals thing. And I don't support them taking people that are not under the guise of a dangerous criminal in this country. But this is something I'm kind of on the fence about. They should deport people who are here illegally. They officially did deport him, but he doesn't belong in a maximum security prison.
No.
And I don't like giving that over to the government. They've never done anything 1,000%, even if it's Trump. It's never been done right.
Well,
Or
even under Trump.
1,000%. So this needs to not be something they have no, as Americans, we should know what the charges are. We should know where they're sending them. And if it's just deporting them, great, fine. We all agreed to deportations when we elected him. We did not agree throwing him off into a high security prison for not committing violent crimes. Like that's something I think we talked about last week. And we've got to decide, we need them at least to know where they are and why they're there.
Well, yeah, I think a matter of due process, we should demand that from our government at all circumstances. We need due process. I don't know. It's
O'Malley. I love my heavy medical vehicle growls. See, she knows.
Yeah. Something about
I feel safer too. That's why I love a big truck. I feel like I'm safer and my family's safer. I can see more what's going around me. But again, I probably wouldn't drive a truck the size of mine without the bird's eye camera views and things like that, the technology that is so great to have. I think that Trump has been, the press has been floating a third term idea to Trump.
I know.
I do not.
Oh boy.
Third terms. Now this could be the 80-20 thing you're talking about where he's messing with people.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it past him to go for a third term just because he thinks it's going so great and we're running the country. But personally, I do not believe that anyone is above the law, and it sets precedent that was already set once, and it ended so badly they created an amendment to the Constitution, and that's 2/3 in the House and the Senate, and then you've got to get 30 or 2/3 of the states, which is like 38 states. It's not worth it. If he does his job well and serves 4 years well, he should be able to turn the seat over to somebody who's going to continue on with his good works and improve on his good works and go enjoy his retirement the way he deserves. I don't like a third term being floated, and I would never support it.
Oh boy, that is, regardless of what they're doing, that is stirring the pot. That's getting the Democrats they're boiling over with that. Yeah,
But it goes to show you'll have Republicans that are going to try to convince you that that's a good idea. But I always think in my head, what happens when they're in charge?
Just remember, the weapon you make today will be wielded by your enemy tomorrow.
Amen. And that's something I think we should end the show on.
Okay.
It's 8:01. I'm so glad you made it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I got called back to work. I was on my way home, and they gave me a call and said, "Hey, we got a piece of equipment that's broke down. Can you come out and sort it out?" So I turned around, gave Holly a call. I want to thank Duane. I want to thank KMMU. I want to thank Duane for jumping on there, setting it up, standing in for me, keeping Holly entertained while I was undisposed. And, I got here, jumped in the shower, pulled a Donald Duck, came right in here and turned it on.
We've had a lot of people enjoying the show tonight. I just want to thank you all for showing up. Our guest wasn't able to make it last minute, and we just threw it together. So big thanks to Duane and KMMU for supporting us. And they did an intro. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not.
Little intro, and he did this announcement. But we, Jared and I are looking, and we're looking to businesses. Remember, Ken Garff Nissan downtown is giving you that employee discount if you mention the show.
Yep. And so if you're in the market for a car, head down to Ken Garff, mention political head trauma, talk to Michael. What was the other guy's name?
Sam.
Talk
and
to Michael or Sam.
And then it is spring and it's mosquito season. And if you are looking for a mosquito treatment, reach out to Dustin at Mosquito Shield. They are awesome. Mosquito Shield will come out, give you a bid, an estimate. They're fantastic. And you mentioned the show, and they will make sure you got a free estimate. And I think he's doing a discount. I don't know for sure what that is, but you can see him on Mosquito Shield. You can email or check out their website at mosquitoshield.com.
I'm going to flash that.
Mosquito.com. Mosquito or MoShield. Sorry.
MoShield.com. I'm going to flash it up on there right now.
.com /North-Salt Lake City. They are coming out to our county here. So they cover North Salt Lake, Farmington, Tooele County. Oh, there you go. You just have to put in your zip code. And make sure you mention Holly. They do cover you. Just make sure you mention Holly. In fact, I'll put the phone number in the show notes.
Okay. Phone number will be in the show notes, but we've got to get them to update their website. But we'll close it out on that. Get down there.
Patriot Camp.
Support us. Oh, yeah, Patriot Camp.
Sign your kid up for Patriot Camp and be a volunteer yourself. June 2nd.
Now, let me ask a question. Skyly, if you're still on here, are you I wonder if Skyly is my cousin's daughter, and if Skyly is, Skyly can benefit from this next message.
On Patriot Camp.
Yes.
If you're 13 and older, we're looking for camp leaders who guide our young campers, and they get to learn a ton about the founding of our nation. They also get to learn how to do interviews and how to be leaders. And then, they can put this stuff on a resume. They learn to organize. It's a lot of fun. You learn so much about the history. In fact, the reason I don't believe in a third term ever is because our first and one of my favorite presidents, he set that precedent. And we saw what happens when people go steer off of the Constitution and what these founders actually wanted when they were starting this experiment called America. And through their works and their journals, and we do a great big history lessons, warts and all. And we've got tremendous actors that come. And even Carrie has been an actor on our show. We've had a lot of great people get involved. And it's June 2nd through the 6th, the Patriot Camps of America, or Tooele Valley Patriot Camp. We're on Facebook. If you check out our page on our Facebook page, you'll see the ad. I've shared it before. And just consider getting your kid. And if you're a volunteer, you get a big discount. So think about it. Think about joining in.
And if you have younger brothers and sisters, things like that. Yeah. Get them in there. I'll go ahead and do another quick share just to get this out of the way and be all interactive. But yeah, Twilla Valley Patriot Camp. Also, I mean, think about it as like a civics refresher for the summer. Our schools aren't teaching civics the same. Send them to Patriot Camp, get them a little bit of that civics, a little bit of that pride in their nation, pride in their heritage, and all that stuff. It's good stuff. And that's the show right there, right?
Right. Blurry
Okay.
and all. I need a new camera, huh?
That's right. You're not fuzzy anymore.
I am fuzzy though.
Oh, you're fuzzy now.
I need a better camera.
Is it just the camera that came on the computer? One day I can show you how to adjust that stuff.
Yeah, when? When do you have a free time? Free moment? I'm getting things in order. I'll get it better. But we love you guys and we appreciate you all. Don't go yet because I'm putting this post on the comment and I don't want it to go away.
Okay. We're putting it up. She's typing it. She takes a minute.
Tell us about next week.
Who do we have next week?
Well, we might have our guest from tonight.
Okay, that'd be good.
Because we are looking to get Phil Lyman on the show. I've reached out to Phil myself. I've reached out to a couple of people that work with him. We want to get him on the show. We have so many questions and we want to help get the word out that he's running for state party chair. We are looking for him. So if you know him, get in touch with him and tell him we're looking for him. And just tell him to come on. We're excited to have him. And I know there's a lot of questions that a lot of people have. And we want to get them all asked. And who better to ask than him, right?
Yeah, 100%. So what that's pertaining to is that latest vote to allow maternal and paternal leave for our Congress people and senators to do a virtual vote from home. And I know that one split the party pretty good too.
You're talking about our guest tonight that we were.
Yes, that will come on soon. Also, I've reached out to Carrie Bartholomew. She is going to be running for, I believe it's delegate office in Utah County, if I remember. But I reached out to her. We'll have her come on and chat with us, tell us what she's got going on. But yeah, we'll just continue to reach out. But right now, man, hitting the springtime, it's spring break. Everyone's like, man, I'm doing fun stuff with my kids. I don't want to sit around and jab with Jared. I mean, Holly's kind of cool, but Jared talks a lot of smack. And,
that Congress vote, there's been 13 or 14 ever in history of America of women who are pregnant or just had babies. And really all she's looking to do is vote remotely. I think that's what you and I have been talking about the whole last 2 years.
Well, look,
Congress vote remotely. We have the technology. Let's do it.
Yes, I kind of want to move to where our Congress people. I don't want our Congress people to reside in Washington, D.C. anymore because all our wealth is being gathered near the Capitol. I want them to reside in their state. Let's spread the wealth around the nation a little bit. Let the people who vote for us spend 90% of their time here. I think we should make it. Congress doesn't need to vote as often as it does. Why can't they meet 2 days a month and vote?
We need to get these executive orders voted on right now. I'm so pushing for that. But
the only executive order I want is to do away with all the previous crap.
I just don't want them to vote via Signal app.
I don't know. I don't care. I want their vote to be wide open. I want their vote to be public. I want them to wear a hat.
They should vote remotely in their own districts.
I want them to wear a hat that has a light on it that turns red or green, whether they voted yay or nay. So we can look at them and say, I know you. I voted for you.
How many would watch? How many Americans tune in to CNN?
I don't know, 7 or
Now.
8 people, but that'd be 7 or 8 people that, already watch C-SPAN. But anyways, no, I that's what I want to see. But I mean, that's like the thing with the tariffs. I don't think we could afford the government we have on tariffs alone. That's why they print money. They print money because we can't afford the government we have on taxes alone. So they print, and then we run those deficits. And that's where we're at. We've got a government that's swollen. I mean, we're so far away from the Constitution as a nation right now, and Republicans are every bit as guilty. Every bit as guilty. Ronald Reagan is one of the guiltiest. We're so far away from the Constitution. I've gotten to where when I argue gun rights anymore, I don't say, well, it's in the Second Amendment. I say, I want the right to keep myself alive under any circumstance. That's it. It's no longer a constitutional question for me. It's a question of, am I born and should I have the right to fight to stay alive?
Amen. Well, you see that lady who was attacked in her Tesla? 61
I did not.
years old. The Tesla camera caught a guy pulling in front of her and blocking her, so she had to stop. He then jumps out of the car and starts hitting her. And it's not until the passenger of his vehicle gets out and stops him. All this caught on camera, telling her how she's a terrible person for owning a Tesla.
She's probably a leftist Democrat.
And no, the woman said, I didn't buy this car as a political statement. I bought it because it's fun to drive. And her and another person attacked in their Tesla have recently just signed up for gun training classes.
Outstanding. And if anybody out there
driving their vehicles,
let me make another advertisement. If any of you guys want to pursue gun training, pistol training, any of that, and give me a call. I'll get you signed up with Shield Maidens. We've got a class coming up next month. I think towards the end of the month. Oh boy, we've got some stuff.
Reach out to O'Malley May if you want self-defense classes, because she's good friends with Patrick, who
yes, yeah, we can get you in with Patrick. Does the hands-on stuff, but for you ladies, I think every woman should pursue a little bit of pistol and the training to go with it. So get a hold of me. We'll get you signed in with Shield Maidens, April 26th and 27th, coming up next month. And it'll be every other month through the summer. Unless we get a lot of people signing up, then we may have to throw in mid classes. I'll push her on that. But
you keep saying next month. It's this month.
Oh, it's this month. Oh, yeah, we're in this month.
Yeah, in fact, you said that we're less than a week in under the tariffs. It's only been 2 days.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone, this month,
you're working too much. You don't know if you're coming or going.
Yeah. And on her Facebook, she's posting, or on our Facebook, she's posting the websites, and I'm going to transfer them over to the different YouTubes right now. Let's see how that looks. Ladies, there we go.
I cannot recommend the class enough. That is a class where I found so much comfort and I felt so much more confident about carrying my firearm and just interacting with people, learning so many different points that could save my life and my family's life, and doing it in a way that I was totally comfortable. It is the best class I've ever taken, honestly. And it's the best money you'll ever spend. It's worth every single dollar. Look up Shield Maidens. And if you don't have a firearm, but you're thinking about getting one, doesn't matter. Go to the class. They have lots of trainers there. They have lots of firearms available, and learn your comfort zone. You've got amazing, amazing people teaching you, and they're so patient. They're so good. Jared's one of them. Probably the most patient person I've ever met.
Well, and we tell a lot of jokes, and I'm also a minister, so get preachy. But but come see us. it's if you do not have a firearm, we do bring firearms that you can use to train with. We can get you guys set up with that. We can get you familiarized. If you just want to be familiar with a pistol and you don't want to go to a full 2-day class, give me a call. I go out to the range all the time. I'm more than happy to take people out and let them experience a firearm to see if that's something they want to pursue. And I'm not going to lie, I'm very positive pro firearm, and I will try to convince you to join my religion with me, so that we
that's
can.
probably what you should put on your wall behind you, where those white marks are. There should be a nice rifle right there.
Yeah, hang something up there, hang a pellet gun. Yeah, we got to decorate this room anyway. It's tired, but okay, that's the show, everyone. Let's plan on. I'll reach out to Mallory. We'll plan on having her come on in maybe for a half hour next week, just to talk about the class coming up, something like that.
Yeah, I think we should have an entrepreneur type segment in our show where we invite a small business owner to come out and tell us about their business.
Oh, I like it.
Half hour and let people know what's out there. And we offer that to all of you. We want to engage all of you. We believe in the entrepreneurial spirit, and we're highly supportive of it. So reach out to us if you would like us to feature your business on a show, because I think that'd be a great segment to add.
Yep. All right, everyone. That's the show. Thanks for joining us.
Good night, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, have a wonderful weekend.